Welcome to the fabulous Las Vegas Rotary Club. For this Rotary year, Rotary International President Barry Rassin asked us to be people of action and to be the inspiration. This club's continuing mission to teach youth to succeed through literacy, education, and life skills development is the inspiration that President Rassin asks of us, and the numerous local and international projects that we participate in and support are the action that he asks us to take. My name is Jim Kohl, and I thank you for giving me the honor and the privilege to serve as the 96th president of the best Rotary Club in the world. As we do at this time, those of you who have your cell phones with you and are on Facebook, I ask that you open it up and promote our live streaming video. And for our daily historical facts, on this day in 1519, Magellan set out on his expedition. On this evening in 1777, near Paoli, Pennsylvania, which is just a town or two over from where I grew up, General Charles Grey and 5,000 British soldiers massacred part of General Anthony Wayne's army. And it was a rallying cry throughout the rest of the Revolutionary War, the Paoli Massacre. In 1863, one of the bloodiest battles of the war, in one of the bloodiest battles of the Civil War, the Confederate Army of Tennessee drove the Union Army of the Cumberland back into Chattanooga, Tennessee from Chickamauga Creek in northern Georgia. On this day, Upton Sinclair and Sophia Loren were born. And just so you know, light travels faster than sound, and that explains why some people appear bright until you hear them speak. At this time, I'd like to invite Blake Myers to the front.
Thank you, President Jim. Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians and guests. Please pray with me. Heavenly Father, we often take for granted the many blessings you bestow upon us. All too often, we seek your assistance not for others, but solely for ourselves. If we truly are our brother's keeper, then today we pray that you will help us overcome our sightlessness, our deafness, our muteness. Allow us to see all around us the needs of those less fortunate, that we will be moved to improve the life of the disadvantaged and downtrodden among us. Enhance our hearing, that we may hear the pleas of the least among us, that we not ignore those whose cries are too faint to surmount their challenges. And finally, Lord, permit our voices to rise in opposition to those things we know in our hearts to be unjust, for by our silence we only condone the suffering of others. We ask for your guidance so that we may make a difference in the lives of others. Amen.
I'd like to invite Ted McAdam up for a song. Or not. Russell Swain. We get volunteered.
Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians and guests. I'm grateful to be here. Let's sing today. How about God Bless America? God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the light with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance. Thank you. Please be seated. At this time, I'd like to introduce our visitors and guests. And as we always do, if you would please be so kind as to save your applause until all of the guests have been introduced. Michael Kudamont, listed as Sergeant at Arms, is not here. So, can I call on you, sir? Kim. Mr. Werner, do we have any international visiting Rotarians today? None today. Okay, so do we have visiting Rotarians? If you could raise your hand, please. Visiting Rotarians. In the back?
Good afternoon, and thank you very much. I'm Walt Parrish from the Fresno Rotary Club, and I made it through the traffic. Woo.
Thank you. Welcome. Do we have any other visiting Rotarians today? How about guests of Rotarians? Guests of Rotarians.
Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. Dave Thorsen here. We have Staff Sergeant Alexis Johnson here, who's organizing our Wetzel Awards today. We'll introduce our individual winners later on in the program, but please welcome Alexis to Rotary.
Welcome. Kim, behind you.
Hello. Speaking of blessings, I have my brother visiting from Kaiserslautern, Germany for the last 2 weeks, and we're still blessed to be enjoying each other's company after being together, tied at the hip for 2 weeks. Jonathan Gamero.
Welcome.
It's Karen, you want to stand up? Or just stand up if you want to or don't want to. Stephen and I are pleased to introduce Karen Steiner. Karen and I have been friends in St. Louis, Missouri, since we were 12 years old. So she's been able to put up with me that long. So, see, you guys are not in trouble.
Welcome.
All right. Hello, everyone. I am very happy to introduce my grandma, Shirley Hahn, as my guest today. She's visiting from Northern California. Livermore, California, for anyone familiar with the area, but very glad that she can join us for lunch today.
Welcome. Do you have any other guests of Rotarians here today? Any further guests? Okay, at this time I'd like to introduce the head table. Directly across from me is our speaker today, Bob Bennett from the Nevada Athletic Commission. Across the table from him is Frankie Mason, who is a senior management analyst at Nevada Athletic Commission. And directly across from me is my wife, Judith, and a couple of things about her that you may not know. First of all, she's a foodie, which is lucky for me. Secondly, her father was a professional drummer who played in multiple bands, and among which included the Lettermen. And she's also a Valentine baby, which was not good when I forgot it the second time. But so, at this time, if we could get a round of applause for all of our visitors and guests. I'd like to thank the Rotarians who helped out today. Set up was Andy Kuniaki and Jamel Surah. Greeters were Chan Lan and Andy. Invocation was Blake Myers. The song leader was Russ Swain. And our Sergeant at Arms is Kim. Teardown is going to be Jamie Goldsmith and Chan Lam. Our photographer is back to Jim Tucker, and tickets, again, were by John and Marie. Thanks. I'd also like to say a special thanks to past President Randy Donald, who covered for me last week when I was on vacation. As many of you know, I'm a huge fisherman, and I have to confess I felt really stupid when I showed up at the whaling wall with my harpoon. I guess I should have read the brochures. Anyway. At this time, Kim, could you take the microphone over to Jamie Goldsmith?
Okay, so I'm sure a lot of you know that we had the SOAR ceremony on Monday. We started the day with a beautiful continental breakfast provided by Treasure Island, complete with a watermelon carving of the SOAR logo. Mayor Carolyn Goodman did the opening remarks and the Pledge of Allegiance. Major Kinnaman did the opening prayer, and Mitch Fox was our MC. We had District Governor John Chase talk about how he joined Rotary while he was a police officer and what Rotary has meant to him. We wanted to have a more Rotary-focused ceremony, so we had several Rotarians present awards. We had Dr. Kathy Mahan from the Las Vegas 1 Rotary, Jordana Lane from the Southwest Club, Mesquite Sunrise President Deb Parsley, Rick Tuttle from the Mesquite Rotary, and President-elect Jackie Thornhill, and past President David Thorsen all presented. The first responders were very gracious. Tom Novotny from the Las Vegas Club told me he's been to every SOAR ceremony there has been, and he said this was the best one he's seen. So I took that as a huge compliment. That was really cool. Mitch Fox also complimented our ceremony on how well it was structured. I do want to give a special thank you to Aaron Campillo, who drove all over the valley picking up trophies. That's a tough job. We had several members of this club present to support their ceremony, but we certainly could use more people in the City Hall chambers. So please mark your calendar for next year, September 16th. If you would like to see the ceremony, we did do a live stream. It is posted on Southern Nevada SOAR Facebook page, and I have also shared it on my timeline.
Sorry? Would you let me do wine to water? Later.
Okay, so an update on wine to water. We're still working on a date. Stu's handling that. But I did want to make an announcement that today Anna Orellano, okay, I tried, has donated $500 to the Wine to Water Committee, which will then be donated to One Drop, and that sponsors our Walk for Water team. So anyone interested in participating, that event is on the morning of October 13th. It's a really nice walk from the Smith Center to the Springs Preserve. So let me know if you want to be on our team. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. At this time, I would like to invite Dave Thorsen to the front, please. As most of you know, and if you don't know, just from looking at a shirt, you can tell Dave is the center director for the USO here in Southern Nevada, and this was one of the nonprofits that my firm selected to donate funds to through the Las Vegas Rotary Club and through the foundations, and so we partnered together, and it is my pleasure to present a check to Dave from both Howard and the Las Vegas Rotary Foundation for $5,000.
Thank you, Jim, and thank you, Las Vegas Rotary Club. I think, as you know, we at the USO, our mission is to provide support to the active duty military, their families, Guard, Reserve. Last year, we served over 90,000 people here just in Las Vegas. We have 4 physical locations in town and do a wide array of services, and maybe someday I'll be the program here, and we can talk about it. But I want to present to Howard and Howard our Silver Donor Award that they can hang on their award for presenting us with this $5,000 check. This is the second year in a row that we received the support from Howard & Howard, and we're very pleased. We're a private nonprofit, and we couldn't do it without the support of the community, so thank you so much.
Do you want to call them up, or? Yeah. Yeah. Dave's going to do double duty here.
All right. We're going to roll right into the Wetzel Awards. So if I could have Jackie Thornhill come up and join me briefly. And Staff Sergeant Johnson, why don't you come on up too? Yeah. Jackie has been running the Wetzel Awards for the last 3 years. With her imminent ascension to the throne of our Rotary Club next July, she's asked for somebody to take over, and it seemed like a natural fit for me and my role as USO. So I'll be doing the Wetzel Awards going forward. So this is my first official Wetzel Award. So we're going to call each one of the awardees up individually. If you could say a few words when you get up here, awardees, say a few words about yourself, what you do for the Air Force, and anything else you'd like to let us know about your role. So without further ado, why don't we bring up Staff Sergeant Samantha Buxton. Big round of applause, please. Congratulations.
Hello, I am Staff Sergeant Samantha Buxton. I'm Staff Sergeant Samantha Buxton. I'm stationed at Nellis Air Force Base, and I've been in for 6.5 years as an F-35 crew chief. I just want to say thank you so much for this award, and I'm honored to be here today. Thank you.
Next up is Staff Sergeant Jose Salinas. Big round of applause for Sergeant Salinas.
Yeah, how's everyone doing today? So I'm Sergeant Jose Salinas. I'm a vehicle maintainer. I've been in 10 years. I just want to say thank you for the award, and thank you to my family and my leadership for recognizing me. Thanks.
Next up, we have Staff Sergeant Christian Nault. Big round of applause for Sergeant Nault.
Hey, Sergeant Christian Nault, I go by Zero. I'm a special mission aviator at the 34th Weapons Squadron, where I specialize in combat search and rescue, advanced tactics. Thanks very much for the award. It's really nice to put my blues on for the first time in a while, so thank you.
Next up, we have Senior Airman Ryan Stull. Big round of applause for Airman Stull.
My name is Senior Airman Stoll. I'm an aviation resource manager, just so you guys know. Before our pilots actually go to fly, I'm the one to check, make sure that they're good on all their training. That way, in case an accident does happen, we can basically say it's not the pilot's fault. He's been trained on it and everything's good. Also, this is my first award, so pretty proud of myself. Thank you guys for letting me be here.
And last, but by certainly no means least, Airman First Class Trent Osier, if I pronounce that right.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Airman First Class Osier from the 799th Security Force Squadron at Creech Air Force Base. My primary duties are pretty much defend and protect everybody on base. Thank you for the great opportunity.
Another round of applause for all of our winners here. As you know, each one of them was awarded for a variety of specific reasons. I don't read off their entire bios here in the interest of time, but I highly recommend that you come to the base when we do these awards, and it's in a much larger room than where we used to do it, so it's comfortable. They have air conditioning, and you'll get to hear all about them. You meet a lot of other people on base because they all have people from their squadrons that come out and support them. So thank you again to the Rotary Club and for your service to the country. Another big round of applause.
Jackie, if I could just have you stay up here. Oh, she'll be right back. Well, she's back, and you'll see much more of her next year as well. But it's my pleasure to have Jackie Thornhill up to present the next round of Paul Harris Awards.
Hi, everyone. We have several Paul Harris Fellowship winners today. Just want to remind you, for those of you who are new to the club, Paul Harris is the founder of Rotary, and in his honor, we have created these awards for every $1,000 that you contribute to Rotary International. You receive a Paul Harris Fellowship. And every subsequent $1,000 that you contribute, you increase in levels. So several people have got their first initial as well as increase in levels today. So we're going to recognize several people today. So would the following people come forward, please? Erik Astramecki, Anna Orellano, Kirk Alexander, Dave Lester, Anil Melnick, Bruce Frazee, Deb Granda, and Steve Dixon. Congratulations to each of you. And now we're going to recognize each of your levels. For their initial Paul Harris, Erik Astramecki. Which will be presented by our president, Jim Kohl. Congratulations, Erik. Another initial Paul Harris, Anna Orellano. Kirk Alexander, Paul Harris, +1. Dave Lester's not here. Anil Melnick, Paul Harris, +2. Bruce Frazee, Paul Harris, +2. Deb Granda, Paul Harris, +5. Steve Dixon, Paul Harris, +5. And President Jim Kohl, Paul Harris, +6. Thanks to all of you. Appreciate it. And now we have two special presentations. As you all know, when you make contributions to Rotary International, you do accumulate points. And those points are available for you to contribute to other members of the club, to members of the community, to your friends and family, so that you can contribute Paul Harris Fellows to them as well. So today we have two of those presentations. First one I'd like to invite is President Jim Kohl.
If I could invite my wife, Judith, up, please. She's wondering why I was stalking her all day about coming to Rotary. Now she knows. It's my pleasure to present to you Paul Harris Fellowship in your name.
The second and final presentation, I'd like to invite Kirk Holmes forward.
Thank you. I'd like to invite my better half, Becca, up here. So they say, behind every good man is a better woman, and that's the case here. And while I get to enjoy a great meal at Lowry's every week, she's slaving away on the computer getting the wheel up. And so it's only appropriate that she becomes a Paul Harris. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. I'll see you all, see some new faces, hopefully, and some increase in levels at the next presentation. Thank you very much.
And Kim, we have one last announcement before we take a break for fellowship. If you could take the microphone over to Katie, please.
Hello, Katie. How you doing? Very good. How are you? All right. Well, hello. I have not seen you for a while. We had a nice long summer break. I don't know if you noticed in the news, they did release the new star rankings. Walter Bracken, again, is at the top of all schools, 5-star school. Definitely making improvements, especially within the area of reading. And I don't know if you also saw that Pinecrest Academies also hit all 5 stars and attribute that to the reading program they've copied from Walter Bracken. So the other 2 schools, Walter Long and Howard Hollingsworth, still we are struggling with our data. We are 1-star schools. We are still trying to improve and raise those expectations. We did have growth in many areas. Unfortunately, they don't translate to that test yet, but hopefully down the road they will. I brought with me 3 amazing educators today. Mark Hamill, he's new to us at Walter Long, and he is going to be running our Kitteract Club over there. So we're very excited about that. Lexi Fleury is new to 1st grade, and you would never know that she was new because she acts like an old pro. So she just jumped right in and hit the ground running. And then Rachel Heaton, this is her 2nd year with us at Howard Hollingsworth. She is 5th grade. She's leading a new team this year and super positive and enthusiastic, and we will have great results. I have no doubt. And then please, Rotary, you know that you are Bracken's #1 partner. We have many partners in our community. We have Caesars. They've adopted Long and Hollingsworth for our United Day of Caring. You're my team for Bracken. We need you. So October 5th, United Day of Caring is a day where we're going to be putting in the fence slats that you funded for us last year. We're making a neighborhood house disappear. Currently, we look right into their house, literally into their house, and it's not clean in their backyard, just so you know. We want to erase it from our children because they're playing on that field every day. So if you can lend a hand, or you know somebody who really could benefit from some community service, please encourage them to sign up, or you sign up, and we would greatly appreciate it.
Thank you. Could you, Kim, can you take the microphone over to Lucy, please?
Hi everyone, just here to make my weekly announcement for the canned food drive that's coming up next month. So the sign-up sheet for the canned food drive is now in the green binder. It's the very first tab on there. I'm not sure where the binder is, but it is the very first tab on there. If you guys can just please sign up, donate some money. We can charge your card, or if you want to give Sean a check, that works as well. And just like always, the little cans are on some of the tables. So if you have any spare change, if you can please just throw it in there or take one of those big buckets over to your job where you have high traffic area that you know some people will donate. We are also going to be having a Halloween party just like we did last year with some food and some fun raffle items. So bring your best costume. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you take the microphone to Deb Granda, please?
We'll give you a minute. Slow. There you go.
Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. Sorry about that. I'm still chewing. Just want to give you an update on the raffle. We are doing the drawing next week, the 27th. We will sell tickets and collect money up until noon next Thursday. So there's still about, there's still at least 50 tickets outstanding that people have taken and haven't paid for yet. So if you can get your money in, I mean, if you absolutely have to, we'll take the tickets back, but we really encourage everyone to try to sell the tickets. Here we go. We got another one. So with this additional $200, that brings us to $20,400, I believe. Yeah. Here comes some more. 20,000, looks like 600. So we're over 20,000. So great job. I really would like to get to 25 if we can. And I have one thing I have to say. I did kind of mess something up today, and I gave somebody ticket number 254 and failed to write it down. So if you've got ticket number 254, can you help me out here? I've done a pretty good job of keeping track of this and reconciling, and I had a mistake today. So if you have ticket 254, just let me know so I can mark down your name. And keep up the good work. Janice is working on a surprise for next week. She's trying. We're trying to get a surprise visitor to pull the winning ticket next week. So keep up the good work. I still have about 40 or 50 tickets in my pouch that need to be given out. So if you still haven't picked up your tickets, I'll be here after the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you take the microphone to Marie Walsh, please?
Thank you. As you all know, September 11 Breakfast with Books was phenomenal. And I want to say a great big thank you once again to the 18 Rotarians that took time out of their morning to come and help us. I'd like you all to stand up so I can thank you personally. If you were there on a September 11th, would you please stand? Thank you all so very, very much. You made a great big... Okay, I'd like to make an announcement that there's a little more to our totals. We didn't have the kids that come in, the Safe Key kids. We didn't have a count of them. We had 28 Safe Key kids, which brings us to a grand total now of 393 people. That's the best we've ever done, and thank you all very, very much.
Thank you. I'd like to remind everybody that this weekend that October 5th is the Cigar Social. It's going to be at past President Tom Krob's house. The cost is going to be $10 per person. It goes to benefit the Las Vegas Rotary Foundation, and it's a great event. It's a lot of fun if you haven't been, and I encourage you to come and to bring a friend along with you as well. Could you take the microphone to Kirk Alexander, please?
What did I do?
Nothing. I just wanted you to touch base with us about Reading Week.
Reading Week. Oh, Reading Week came to a close. As Katie was talking about, it's had a tremendous influence on other schools in the district. And, of course, Marie Walsh mentioned something about Breakfast with Books. We want to encourage everybody to continue to participate in that. It is Obviously, proof in the pudding that if kids are reading, they're learning, and if they've got the chance to teach someone else and read to them, it's even better.
Thank you. Another reminder for the club, this weekend is the highway cleanup. Dave Squire has assured me that there's going to be a world-famous chef there afterwards to handle the brunch. And if you haven't been to highway cleanup, it's just by the Spring Mountain State Park, and it is at 8 o'clock. Would you take the microphone back to Jamie Goldsmith, please?
Hello.
Ms. Goldsmith.
Hello.
Would you like to tell everybody what poi dancing is?
Okay, so poi is a Maori performance art. It's like a Pacific Islander thing where you have like a ball with a rope and you dance. Usually it's on fire, so that's one of my hobbies. I like to spin poi.
And did you take your hobby to the next level recently?
I did. I had a group of friends that put on a Tiki Weekender a couple weeks ago, and they asked me to perform, so I performed for the first time ever on the fabulous Las Vegas Strip.
Well, congratulations, and thank you on the purchase of an additional raffle ticket. Speaking of raffle, that's what everybody's looking for right now, so we will do the drawing, and this is to draw for the chance at the Joker. The winning ticket for today's raffle is 5095593, 5593. Hold on, you give me $10? John. For those who didn't see it, he drew the 3 of clubs. Okay, for the Lowry's Bucks, 5095452. 5452. Excellent. Could I invite Tina Bishop up, please? Can you explain what these
are? As many of you know, I have a meetup group for the members of the over 55 community that I live in. I take them on 4 or 5 trips every month, and I purchased group tickets for Neil deGrasse Tyson, and I have 2 extra that I'd like to offer the club. It's Row R Orchestra. Oh, Neil deGrasse. Yeah, Neil deGrasse Tyson is an astrophysicist. He is director or whatever director at Hayden Planetarium. Basically, he talks astrophysics so somebody like me can understand it. He'll be there speaking behind a podium. There'll be the giant screen behind him at the Smith Center. Should be a great evening.
Okay, so we're going to auction these off, and this will go directly to the foundation. So we have 2 tickets. It is Thursday, September 27th, at 7:30 p.m. So next Thursday, 7:30 p.m. 2 tickets. Do I have $50 for these? $50. Do I have $75? $75. I have $100? $100. Do I have 125? 125. 150. 150. 175. Is that a? What, that was ambiguous. Was that a yes? Yes, that's a yes. 200.
Okay, let's do this.
200. Okay. 225. 225. 200 going once. 200 going twice. Sold. Okay, Erik, we just had you waving. Now I'd like to invite you up to more formally introduce our speaker.
For the record, those who don't know Neil deGrasse Tyson is, watch any Netflix documentary on space, and it's his voice. So I have actually the lovely pleasure of introducing our speaker today, Bob Bennett. Well, I don't know Bob Bennett personally. I do know the NSAC Commission personally. As an MMA fighter, who is a fan of unarmed combat? No? Hand-to-hand boxing, MMA, anything. The Nevada State Athletic Commission is in charge of basically everything to do with that, from licensing requirements, handing down suspensions if things happen, and basically creating the ins and outs of how refs perform and everything. They were created in 1941, and they've done a pretty good job so far of making sure that unarmed combats in the state of Nevada are done well. They're done safely, and the sports continue to grow here. So without pleasure, I'd like to introduce our speaker, the Executive Director of the Nevada State Athletic Commission, Bob Bennett.
Thank you. You ready, Frankie? Sorry about the delay. I've got a lot of papers here. First of all, I'd like to figure out this mic. And I'd like to thank you for inviting us. On behalf of Chairman Marnell and the commissioners, it's certainly my pleasure to be here today to explain to you what we do. And I will tell you, it was very nice to come to a meeting such as this and say the Pledge of Allegiance and have a prayer. And the servicemen and women that are here today, I honor you. I appreciate the service that you give to your country. And with that, we'll move forward. I could probably speak on just about every topic that I'm going to bring up briefly for anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. So I'm not going to do that, obviously, but I'm just going to give you a broad, brief overview on what we do. So if you take a look at what our mission statement is, and it was just briefly told to you, is we go ahead and we regulate unarmed combat. Unarmed combat would be kickboxing, Muay Thai, mixed martial arts, and boxing. We also will go ahead and license all those fighters, whether it's a promoter, a manager, a fighter, seconds. We also do our own judges, ringside physicians, inspectors, and referees. Along those lines, you should know that our number one priority is the health and safety of the fighters. Can you hear me all right in the back? I'm a little hoarse today. All right. We've had a real busy week. So as was also previously mentioned, obviously did your homework. For historical background, in 1941, the Nevada Athletic Commission was formed by an act of the Nevada legislature. So how are we regulated? How do we keep the fighters, the promoters, and everybody in check? We do that through Nevada Revised Statute 467 and also the Nevada Administrative Code 467. And really, by and large, most of the events that we have, we work day in and day out with the Nevada Administrative Code 467. And what that is basically an operational type document that gives you the size of the ring, gloves, weight classes, basically what a promoter can do, can't do, and what they're held accountable for. The next slide. Thanks, Frankie. And the next slide is our organizational chart. And this is really important, especially for the state of Nevada and for our employees and for the fighters. 4 years ago when I started, we had 3 ladies and myself. I walked into the office and I was somewhat taken back that these ladies have been in the business. They're extremely experienced. They've been in the business a number of years, and all 3 of them do a phenomenal job. And as I said, they're really experienced. So you're not really experienced if you're 21, 31, 41. So, I guess you're not supposed to speak about age in the workplace. But let me tell you, these ladies are old school, and they do a great job. But the first thing that came to mind for me was, oh, man, God forbid one of these ladies gets sick. I'm going to be the first executive director that's not going to be able to put on a fight, And, that caused more anxiety for me than going undercover in the FBI. It was pretty embarrassing. So I got a hold of the chairman, the former chairman, Francisco Aguilar, and the current chairman, Anthony Marnell III, and with their vision and their insight, we went ahead and we became self-funded, okay? Initially, we came under the state. We were state-funded, and even in the heyday of boxing, before MMA came into existence, the commission was only given $500,000 or $550,000. I mean, you look at that amount, and we're a multi-million-dollar operation, and with 3 incredible ladies and myself, who was a lot of OJT for me, and 7 days a week to get up to speed. By becoming self-funded, what that did for us is it enabled us to double our staff. Matter of fact, we just hired a young man yesterday, hopefully for a long-term investment, and so we're up to 8. So by being self-funded, we have 8 people, and I've been in the government for a long time. There's a lot of great things about the government, but sometimes the government doesn't really run business too well. But I'm here to tell you that the Nevada State Athletic Commission, with Anthony Marnell at the helm, we run this like it's a private business. And we're very customer-oriented, and we're very service-oriented, and we look to establish a level playing field for the fighters. I'm fortunate enough now to have an assistant. I have 2 other employees that handle, Frankie Mason, our management analyst too, and 1 other person that handles our licensing and financial matters. And then we have 4 other individuals that are basically operational. They run the events, do all the paperwork pre, during, and post, and they also handle our performance-enhancing drug testing program, which is self-funded as well. So that gives us the opportunity with the performance-enhancing drug program to work with VADA, USADA, and we can just go out and hire our own person to go ahead and test fighters that we randomly test them. They don't know when we're coming. We just show up at their doorstep. And once they're licensed with us, they're obligated to be tested because we want to make sure when somebody enters a cage or enters the ring that they're not on any performance-enhancing drugs, and what you see is what you get. So, may the best person win. So with that, we'll move forward and give you a rough idea of what being self-funded has done to us, or for us, I should say. And we're gonna mention just a couple of fights. Back in 2015, you had the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight. That fight alone, even though we do business all year long, was $4.4 million. $4.4 million. In, say, 16, we had the Ronda Rousey and Amanda Nunes fight with the UFC. We made $400,000. $100,000 of that, of course, went to the Nevada Athletic Commission. Then you go forward to 17. 17 was a great year. We had the McGregor-Mayweather fight, and that went ahead and gave us $4.4 million. And then we went to the Triple G and Canelo fight, their first one, which was $2.2 million. You combine that, and you had $6.6 million for us as the commission. That gave us like $1.2 million. Okay, so being self-funded with the vision that the chairman and his predecessor had, really was a blessing. Even though we came in at 1.2 in 17, I don't know. Only God knows how the Attorney General had 400,000 coming their way. So be careful who you vote for. No. Like I said, our number one priority is the health. Excuse me. Our number one priority, even though we're in the hurt business, and it's a pretty violent business, our number one priority is the health and safety of the fighters and ensuring that we have a level playing field. So what do we do to achieve this? And like I said, it's our number one priority. It's something I live and die by, and I take very seriously because I'm the one that approves the matches. So under where it says match approval, the promoter, the matchmaker will come to me, and they'll give me a fight fax. In the old days, a fight fax gave you the record of fighter A and fighter B. Oh, he's 20-2, he's 19-3. All right, they're fine to fight each other. Nowadays, with social media and the internet and the sites, I mean, there's a litany of sites that I can go to make sure that the undercard events are even closer. Because when you have a promoter that owns this fighter, and he wants him to fight somebody that is down here, it's a mismatch because they just want to make sure that their fighter is like 20-0 and they get KOs or TKOs, technical knockouts, at the expense of someone that doesn't have their skill set. So what else do I do when I approve those matches? Well, I can go on the internet. I can Google somebody that's making his pro debut to see what his amateur record looks like so that whoever his opponent is, it's going to be fairly equal. I look for a reason to approve it. I even go to YouTube. I look at the two fighters. I'll bring their names up in YouTube, and I'll look at their skill set. And, all of a sudden you'll see their skill set despite their record, and you go, you know what, this isn't going to work. So I can tell you there's a lot of matchmakers that don't think very highly of me because I'm very conservative, and that's really not the norm in our business. So when you hear about the Nevada State Athletic Commission, I can guarantee you that we do the very best we can to make the field a level playing field. Excuse me. And if we go, what do we do with the medicals? We've got another experienced lady by the name of Daisy. She's incredible. We have a spreadsheet that we use for every fighter, every event that we have. And under that, it has about 13 different categories. It has a contestant's name. Does he have a license, an application? Has it been given to us? Where's his picture? Where's his federal ID card? What's his purse going to be? He has to be tested 30 days before his fight for HIV. For the females, they have to be tested 10 days before their fight for pregnancy tests. Then we have to make sure they're tested for hepatitis B, Hep C, and we conduct a CBC, complete blood count. We also have them see an ophthalmologist, an MRI, and an MRA. So you have like 13 categories. Let's say you have a bout card of 8 fighters. That's 16 contestants that Daisy has to go ahead and make sure that their medicals are complete. Missing a test, God forbid somebody has Hep C or HIV and we don't have that block checked off. We don't want a physician assistant. It must be from a doctor. And with Daisy, nobody gets by. And the amazing thing about Daisy doing the medicals for us is, one, is she's extremely loyal and she's extremely hardworking. But she doesn't just take this sheet. She's got like 6 or 8 events running at the same time with medicals. So I'm approving fights 2 and 3 weeks down the road, and she's got, she's working maybe 8 or 10 different bouts on medicals. So, we're not just looking for next week. We're already a month down the road because we're so busy. Then we'll get into the official selection. I don't know how many of you paid attention or were interested in the last Triple G Alvarez fight, but that's where I come in. If we have a championship fight or a 12-round special event, I'm the person that makes the recommendations to the chairman and the commissioners. And believe me, it takes every bit of a month. I take my time. I go through all the stats. I look at everything. I think of what's best for the fighter, because it's incumbent upon our officials to make sure that the right fighter truly wins that fight. So the judges and the referees are under tremendous scrutiny, and rightfully so, because this is their profession. It's a rough way to make a living, and we want to make sure we get it right, because we're taking money from that fighter or food off the table from his family or her family because we don't get it right. So, we do a lot of training. Usually when I make my recommendations to the chairman and the commissioners during a formal commission meeting, by and large, they agree with me, because I bring a variety of statistics in front of me in case anybody has a question, and I can answer it for them. Look at the next chart, next clip. It's a flow chart, and that'll definitely put you to sleep. And I don't even think you can follow it, quite frankly. But in red, you'll see it starts with the bout approval. Then we move over to Daisy again to review the medicals. Then we go through the licensing. Then we're taking a look at our drug screening. Are we going to do the testing before and after the fight? Or we test some of these fighters 1 or 2 months outside from their fights. They never know when we're coming. All of a sudden, we send somebody down to Guadalajara, and they're at the fighter's house, knocks on the door. He's licensed. It's incumbent upon him to open the door, and our phlebotomist will go ahead, sometimes take blood, sometimes just take urine, and then we'll get it back. If they try to run from us, then they'll come before us for a hearing, and they won't be fighting for quite some time. If you try to avoid a test, it obviously means you've been using performance-enhancing drugs, and you'll be suspended for every bit of 1 year, depending on our regs. So the other thing, when we're at a fight, when I get there right away, there's certain things you have to look at. Frankie, let me know when we're at about 15. All right. When I get to a fight, the first thing I do is I make sure my timekeepers have a 6-foot table, because everybody takes different things from them, and I just tell them, listen, if you want your fight to go on, give my timekeepers a 6-foot table, because the fight can't go without a timekeeper. And if you watch football or basketball, every now and then you'll find a problem with a timekeeper. In football, I think they might have 6 or 8 different timekeepers to keep track. We have 2, and during every fight, we never had a problem with the time. They're kind of like our ringside physicians. They're the silent, deadly heroes of what we do. But we make sure those of us that are working with the commission, that they get their recognition. But the public really has no idea that how meticulous and fastidious they are when they're keeping times during the rounds. So I'll get there, and we'll go ahead and we'll take a look at where are the ambulances. The chief ringside physician and I'll say, okay, Doc, where are we going? Where are the ambulances? And he'll show me. And we'll make sure we'll have 2, okay? So we want to make sure that what's the most expeditious route to go from the locker room or from, God forbid, from the ring. And, we have to take that person to UMC. We have something set up, Could break an arm, could have a orbital fracture, could be cut bad, what I should sneak in here is that one of the things that we do is we stop a fight 1 punch or 1 kick sooner than later. And the officials will never have a problem with that, from the chairman or the commissioners or myself. Because once again, the fighter, if he's losing, he doesn't need to take any extra punishment. And then, of course, we do our pre-briefings like anything else. If you're involved with SWAT, you do a pre-briefing before you go and hit a house. Then at the end you do a debriefing. So you got to have pretty thick skin when we do a debriefing, because if you didn't get the score right, it means you affected that fighter. You took money from him. You hurt his career. And during training, I'll often say, what does a professional fighter do? Come on, tell me what he does. With all my officials, how much does he run? How long out does he start his training? What's his diet consist of? Okay, and then I turn around and say, hey, you know what a fighter goes through to get ready for a championship fight. What do you do to prepare to officiate that fight? And in order for me to recommend the officials, they have to prove themselves that they've been successful under pressure in the fight capital of the world. Because when people come here, they feel that they reach the mecca of unarmed combat. And quite frankly, I'm very humbled by it, because I really didn't know how much it really meant to these outside officials when they come here. And they, as you all know, were considered the fight capital world. MGM spends top dollar to make sure that we get these fights, and then it's incumbent upon us to make sure that we officiate them correctly. Are we about ready for that other one? Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to have a little fun. You're going to see how difficult. That's enough of that. You're going to see how difficult it is to refer. Hold on. You gotta hold that. Okay, I'm out of time. So I want you to pick. Triple G obviously has the 3 G's on him, and you got Canelo to the left right now. So you take a look, and at the end, we'll just by a show of hands, we'll see who won that fight. That round, excuse me. It was a very controversial round. I don't want to tell him that. In case we have any real fans here, I don't know. So really what you're looking for is somebody that has the clean, effective blows. And another easier way to look at it is who would you rather be at the end of that round? This was a fight in 2017, sir, not last Saturday. We got 1:50. I mean, you should be focused, not even listening to me like when the crowd's roaring with 21,000 people. I don't hear them. When I was a judge, I couldn't hear them. That's how focused you are. You need to be looking at every move. You turn your head for 1 or 2 seconds and you miss a good jab or a good hook, that could be the difference of the round. This is halfway through the fight. Like Frankie said, this is round 7. And you can win a fight by being a counterpuncher or walking a fighter down like Triple G is right now. He's walking down Canelo, but Canelo can fight off the ropes. And Canelo might be looking to take a little bit of a break and walk down Gennady later. There you go. You got 48 seconds to make a selection. Now, who's going to win this round? And one of the keys is to stay relaxed and just let the fight come to you. Don't get all uptight that, it's real close, it's going back and forth. By the time the clappers go for 10 seconds, you'll know that, okay, I got 10 seconds left. And those 10 seconds could decide who wins this round. That's Kenny Ballas as the referee. All right. How many people thought Canelo won that round? By a show of hands. Come on, put them up. Don't be embarrassed. You put yours up and you put it down. That's not right. Oh, we got 2. You got 2. And the rest of you thought Triple G won that fight. Won that round, excuse me. Well, 2 of our judges had Triple G. And the one guy that didn't had Canelo, obviously. And boy, because that fight was, unfortunately, we didn't live up to our expectations for that fight. That one guy that missed that round was in agreement on 11 out of 12 rounds with Dave Moretti, who's arguably one of the best judges, if not the best judge in the world. He's done over 175 championship fights and over thousands of undercard fights. So at this point in time, I know we're running on a schedule. Do we have any questions? Anybody have? Yes, sir. Please, feel free to ask me anything you like.
Wanted to commend you on your first priority of safety and health. That's really good. I wanted to ask you something about, I have a question about brain trauma. I deal with it in my private practice. What is being done for immediate or even long-term brain trauma, especially like 10, 15, 20 years later in lieu of the latest scientific research which shows that it's not just one or two big hits that causes the brain trauma 10, 20 years later, but multiple small hits time and time, whether it's a football high school kid or whether it's a professional athlete.
Well, in answer to your question, sir, right now, first of all, if somebody's been knocked out or lost a number of fights, I'm not going to prove him because he may be damaged. But specifically, the Lou Ruvel Center is conducting multiple tests on that matter and on that situation. It's something that's very significant. And we give, during our pre-fight instructions, we tell them about really watching out from hitting in the back of the head to prevent brain bleeds. But that's an excellent point. And one of the things, because we're conducting the Nevada State Athletic Commission with Wayne State Engineering University, we're having them use different types of gloves and see what the effects are from 8 and 10-ounce gloves. So, yes, sir.
Mr. Bennett, what the rules on wagering for the boxers or fighters or their family? Is there something established for that?
You know, that's not in our regs. Obviously, we don't want to see the fighter going up to the sports book, or if we see if it's brought to our attention there's some nefarious activities going on, then we will address it. But no, by and large, when you get to the championship fights, you know, I think there's very few fights that are fixed. When you have to match the undercard up, you get so many mismatches that that's one of the reasons why I'm hoarse, because you know, I tried to be a nice guy in the beginning, and then I realized how they are, how the matchmakers are, and I said, okay, we can do it the other way if you want, and I still don't give in. So, yes, sir.
Both of the major casino groups indicated they anticipate lower gross revenues because we don't have a big fight in the third quarter. Do you see the trajectory of boxing going up? Is this just an anomalous period, or is this a sport that's going to continue to draw crowds, or is it shrinking?
That's a great question. I think when you look at the last Triple G Canelo fight just last Saturday night at the T-Mobile, it sold over 21,000 tickets. So it really depends on who the boxers are. And at the same time, if you take a look at the UFC, they've got a phenomenal business plan because they don't have to adhere to the Muhammad Ali Act. But, you know, they have over 550 fighters that they manage, and they put the best against the very best. And that's why their house, the arena is filled, you know, way before it is in boxing. But, no, from what we're seeing, I mean, right now, like, we're booked all the way up into January. So it fluctuates. All of a sudden there's a lull, then it comes back, and it just depends what fighters, how productive, how great those fighters are, and if the fans like to see them. Like, some people love Triple G and Canelo because they go at it for 12 rounds in that last fight. Other people, like myself, I happen to like Mayweather. I don't like him. I'm not prejudiced or biased towards him. I got to be careful what I say because I respect his defense, okay? And, you know, it's like if you had a street fight. You want to hit the guy, but you don't want to get hit. And that's why Mayweather's got a good head on his shoulders, because he's arguably has the best defense in the history of boxing. God bless you. So we're going to have to wait to see who comes up with his next fight, maybe with Manny. So I don't really want to say too much because it could be misconstrued. Yes, sir.
I'm curious, if a fight takes place here, do we get any economic benefit from the pay-per-view audience?
No, not generally, but the economic impact from unarmed combat events is really significant. You see what happens at McCarran Airport, the mom and pop shops, you know, even the gasoline pumps. You go ahead and you see what happens in the hotels. You know, MGM will pay top dollar to get that fight here. Then it's incumbent upon us. So gaming goes up, the room rates go up, food and beverage goes up. You know, it's great for the taxi cabs. So the whole community, to include, you know, northern Nevada, everybody gets a fair share of the pie. So it's it definitely, these big fights have a tremendous economic impact. But I can tell you one thing that comes to mind. And I don't know if you heard of a fighter by the name of Jaime Munguia. He's going to be a young man he's a superstar right now, but he's a young guy that we didn't approve when Canelo fell out of the first fight with Triple G. They put a lot of pressure on us to put this young man that was 20 years old to go ahead and fight Triple G. And that would have been a real bad move. You know, they had a hell of a sales pitch for us to approve it. And quite frankly, I was on the phone with the chairman at 10:30 at night saying, listen, we're being pressured into this fight, but I'm telling you it's not a good fight for our state. And so we declined the fight. He went back to New York. This guy's like 20, 21 years old, 6 foot. When he weighs in, after the weigh-in, he comes back at like 170. So he was fighting junior middleweight at 154 with Saddam Ali. And then, you know, by the time the fight comes, he's at $170, and Saddam Ali's at like 154. Plus this kid's like 6 foot, and he's got power in both hands. So it won't be long, because he won't be. The older he gets, it'll become harder. So he'll move up to middleweight, 160, and then probably when he gets really experienced and has a good defense, because he's a really powerful puncher, and he's a nice young man. And he I don't know if he was sarcastic or he was complimentary when he said, I want to thank the Nevada State Athletic Commission for not approving my fight with Triple G. So when he came here to fight in Vegas, I said, hey, Jaime, come on over here for a minute. I'm the guy that didn't approve that fight with the chairman. Like, you sincere? Bring your trainer over here, too. You know, and we let him know that, hey, you know, it's a good feeling, to be honest with you. You know, that you did the right thing, and now, you know, this young man has a future. Last fight, he made $250,000, and, you know, he's got a bright future ahead of him. If we would have put him in a mismatch, and Canelo, Triple G is arguably one of the hardest punches in the business, he could have damaged that kid, and he would be on a shelf, and, you know, it would never even seen the light of day that he's seeing right now. So from our perspective, it was a great team effort by the commission not to approve that fight. Yes.
Hi, on that Pacquiao-Mayweather fight, I don't think I've seen so much hype in distant memory. I mean, there was so much hype around that fight. And I was just wondering if both fighters went through the stringent health checks that you've described earlier, and if so, what the heck happened?
Well, see, now we're running out of time. That's a good question, and it's probably better I talk about that at another time. But both fighters, no, I mean he had a standard test, and then supposedly he had a torn rotator cuff. But you have to be really careful about talking about a fighter's medicals in public because of the HIPAA laws and things like that. But yeah, that fight got a lot of hype, and it didn't live up to its expectations, and we're well aware of the situation. But one of the things, all the pundits, people around the country complained about the McGregor-Mayweather fight. And you know what? We did our homework on that fight. It turned out to be a great fight. It was a great fight for the city, great fight for the state, and for boxing fans and MMA fans. And I think that's about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming as well. I'd like to present you, what do we do with it? Here. It's underneath everything here. We give all of our speakers the Share What You Can Award, and it is a certificate that we will give to you, and then we will provide a meal to a needy veteran on your behalf. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. It's been my pleasure.
Holy, just have a final stuff to go through here. Let me just take that back. Yeah. No, that's okay. So as we leave here Before we go, we have a board meeting immediately following in the room right behind the bar. And so as we leave here today, let's go forth into the world in peace. Be of good courage. Hold fast to that which is good. Render to no one evil for evil. Strengthen the faint-hearted. Support the weak. Help the afflicted. Honor all persons. Love and serve each other. Rejoicing in the fellowship of Rotary. Be people of action. Be the inspiration. Meeting adjourned.